Yo, what's going on, guys? Jared here. Today I just got 12th place at the Remote Duel Regional. I wanted to get top 8. I bubbled, sadly. It was a topping record, but I lost the last round. My opening hand was 4 Ritual Monsters. I was unplayable. It was so sad. But yeah, I really wanted to get top 8, but sadly I just missed it. Like I said, it was a topping record. I went X2. But yeah, I think like 3 X2s made it. If my last loss won the last round, I think I make it in from tiebreakers. But it is what it is. But I thought the deck was cool. It performed well. I really didn't have that much expectation of it, but my last minute deck building, I guess, kind of worked in my favor. So yeah, I just wanted to show you guys what it is. If you guys enjoy, please subscribe. I would really appreciate it. And let's go ahead and jump into it. Okay, so what I played was Mitsurugi Azamina. This is a deck that I've been pretty much like only been playing because it's so fun. And I really enjoy it. I really like the Mitsurugi cards, and I didn't play this deck because I thought it was like some crazy meta call. I just wanted to make that very apparent. This was played because I just really like the deck and I wanted to have fun during the regional, and I still needed my invite, which it succeeded, so I'm happy. So we played 3 copies of each of the rituals, and I will say my biggest downfall, I think, was probably consistency. I bricked more than I would have liked to during the event. I think I bricked like 3 or 4 times, and I think one of them I was able to pull off and win because my opponent also bricked and I was able to draw out of it. So, I don't know, it's rough sometimes, but when this deck goes, it feels like almost unfair. So 6 Ritual Monsters, 3 copies of Saji, 2 copies of Kusanagi. That's it for the Mitsurugi monster. You almost max out on all of them except for Kusanagi, because he is one of the brick cards. You can't really do much about it. For the Azamina package monsters, 2 Diabell Star. I'm going to separate this out a little bit. I don't play 3 anymore because this is like the most high committal card and loses to the most. Like, essentially Imperm is like a huge problem. So if you summon this and the imperm it, you lose a lot. There's no, like, you can't get anything back out of it like you can with Deception, where if you're triggering off one of these, you can trigger their effects, so that's why I cut this down just a little bit. I really didn't miss any more of it. And the last monster I played was Maximus. This engine was so good today. The good thing about this engine, which I'll get to when I get to the other cards, I get to the Nadir Servants, but 3 spell, 3 ritual spell, and 3 prayers. Prayers is so broken. It is insane. I think, like, if you resolve Ritual Spell, I think you win the game. Like, it's, like, over 90%. It's insane how much this deck, like, how good these cards are when they get going. Yeah. 3 copies of Wanted, 1 with the Diabell Star, 1 copy of Azamina Dev Tauros, and 1 copy of Hollowed, and 3 copies of Deception. So, this might look a little weird, but the Dev Tauros came up a lot. So the reason I'm playing this was, 1, if you drew Hollowed, you couldn't use Deception to tribute a guy, which was a huge problem, so I wanted the second target in the deck. Also, having more names that Confusion summon also means that you are able to, 1, utilize these better if you draw multiple, but also you can use the other effects of the Azamina Fusion monsters, like the one that does double damage off Sylvia is like really important. So it's really, really cool. So the fact that you can summon multiple fusions now really helps a ton. Also, this being a quick play super matters because when you are doing stuff with Maximus, with Nadir Servant, you're getting 2 draws off Nadir Servant, and if you draw into this engine, you want the engine to do something, even if it is essentially, you would think the engine would be dead, but if you're playing the quick play spell, you're able to use Deception to get to this, and then set it, and then you have an interruption on your opponent's turn after you use Maximus. So it's still like gets to some kind of value rather than getting to nothing, which makes a big difference. I did use this card's graveyard effect a couple times, which is pretty cool, which is nice. Other synergies, usually if you draw Maximus, it's like a huge brick, and it just makes all the Nadir Servants dead, and if you draw like Nadir Servant Maximus, it's bad. But in this build, because you're playing the Deception stuff, you are able to like either tribute this or send it off Diabell to get it to the graveyard, and then use Nadir Servant to send a guy and get this back from the graveyard too, which is pretty cool. It can unbrick your hand, which I think is like pretty important. I did it like I think once or twice, so just something to consider. But yeah. And then for other cards that would be considered non-engine, 3 copies of Talents. I think this card is just so broken. This card is just insane. Luckily I only drew multiples like once or twice today, but even when you do, you can like send it off the Diabell Star and it's still like decently. You can also put one back with Blossom depending on your hand if you get to this stuff. 3 copies of Metaltronus and 2 copies of Imperm, and then the last Mitsurugi card of Purification. This card's insane. Both effects are crazy. It makes OTKing so much easier along with prayers. Like it's ridiculous how strong this card is. But the main thing I wanted to just keep in mind is that all of this non-engine is meant to beat Detonator. You need to be able to beat Detonator. If you can't beat Detonator, you're probably just not playing Yu-Gi-Oh! So all of these can beat Detonator, and these can beat Detonator. This is great. I love that this can beat Detonator, and I'm actually really surprised that this isn't seeing more play because it can beat Detonator by itself. I'll explain it when I get to the extra deck. But yeah, so the fact that this can is like really, really important. So yeah, that is it for the main deck. I'm just gonna move this stuff over a little bit. Like, this is all the non-engine, but I just wanted to kind of have it still laid out because I wanted to talk about stuff. For links, pretty straightforward. IP, SP, Lizardos, and Shinda. She's like cool. I use her a lot on Dueling Book. I haven't used her in real life for this event, at least. She never came up. But yeah, Lizardos came up though. I drew multiple times with this card because you just need to like dig a little bit more. You find the cards you need. A lot of the times you're like drawing and you need like one of like 15 cards or something, and it's like really in your favor to find one, which is very nice. For the Azamina fusions, Russo Yago, Soul, and Sylvia, all these came up. They're all insane. I've made all 3 in one turn. It's ridiculous. So these cards are 10 out of 10 bangers. For Exceeds, 1 copy of Sky Crisis, Dweller, and then 1 copy of Detonator. This is for like, now we're getting into Metaltronus, was for Detonator. And then for the Maximus, it was Aggregator, Arclight, Blossom, Entist, and Garura. The cool thing about the Maximus stuff with this stuff is that like also, if like this is in the graveyard and it gets stopped by like, let's say like they do something to the Deception when you use this, you can like Maximus dump one of these guys and then use the hollow to get it back still, so you have it for the next turn. It's just like a little cute thing you can do. That's important to know. Detonator for Metaltronus. Nadir Servant, being able to use this to out cross plus Detonator is really important. So the way you do that is you go Nadir Servant, obviously, if they have Detonator cross, use it, and you dump Entist. And then you grab Maximus. Then you use Entist effect, you target the cross to deal with cross. They have the cross protect, essentially. Next, you summon the Maximus. Detonator can't interact with it. Following, you use Maximus effect, and then you send Aggregator plus Arclight, and then you're able to search for the ritual which you need, and then you're also able to chain block it and negate Detonator. If they pop Maximus, you don't care. When you're ending your board, this is sitting on the end board regardless. So this is like a whatever pop. So yeah, it's just a good way to out Detonator cross, and I'm actually really surprised that no one is playing this in some other deck. Isn't this? Because I feel like that's like super good and very unused. I guess would be the best way for how popular Rizio is right now. And it's easy to say that like Rizio players are always going to have like Detonator with the twins under it and the cross and then like whatever plug-in in the back. They don't always have everything. It's such a like it's just not always that. The boards vary with little differences, but a lot of the times I realized that twins was not always under the Detonator. And even if it is, even doing this line, it's still pretty good because then they twins bring it back, and then you can use Ritual, get to Ame, and it just eats more. Like, you're eating so many cards just from this that it's still worth it. It's still completely fine. Yeah, I think like everything in this came up except for the Reptilian. I don't think I would change anything. Maybe like, no, I don't think I would change anything because she comes up too. Like, it just didn't come up today, but I think she's still worth it. Being able to search a reptile with a reptile plus anything, really good to get to your ritual monsters. Very good. It can let Sanji get to a ritual monster, which is really important. Yeah. So that is it for the extra deck, and for the side deck, we have more ways to deal with Detonator in the form of Ultimate Slayer, but this is also good against other stuff too. But Ultimate Slayer was pretty solid overall. And then 3 copies of Droll. This is just you just need Droll right now. And then for Malice, 2 Meows and 3 Lancia. And then I played some 1-ofs. 1 copy of Lightning Storm, 1 Duster, 1 Imperm, 1 Called By. Obviously I main 2 Imperm, so I put the third one in the side deck. Again, it doubles as a hand trap and an out to Detonator. That is definitely the 2 main aspects of it. Call By for going first to dodge things like Droll, and like sometimes your hand plays on the Droll. That's really the biggest thing. Sometimes, not all the time, your hand plays on the Droll, and you want to wait to stop it. Call By, easy peasy. Duster and Storm are for the back row. A lot of the time, Malice will have a good amount of back row. Rizio will have like at least 2 usually with their cross plus a back row, and then anything extra you can hit it with this. That's really nice. Just makes it a little bit easier to deal with the whole board. This dealing with Malice is very good too. When you're siding, you need to take out some engine pieces because you're just playing so much engine. And the biggest thing that's important to know, in Yu-Gi-Oh! Today, you're not beating any board with just engine. It's so not true. The closest thing you're getting is something like Nadir Servant that can beat... This is like almost X-Ryziel, right? Like, this is so close to just being X-Ryziel that you're just like beating the, the aggregate, the detonator plus cross. It's essentially that, but just not searchable. So it's just something to keep in mind. But the point is, you're not beating these decks going second without non-engine, so you are siding super heavy going second. You're putting in like 10 to 15 non-engine against these decks to try to beat them as best as you can. So, and just to give you a chance, right? Just to give you a chance going second. And it paid off, right? It paid off today, so I'm happy it did. I'm happy I played it the way I did. But I will say that this was like made very quickly before the event, just so I could, play the deck I wanted to play and have fun. So, yep, that was the deck. That's pretty much the theory behind it. There's not really much else to say. Oh, I didn't make Dweller today either. This card never came up. Yeah, just realized that. But, yeah, I think that's pretty much everything. There's nothing really else I want to say. Oh, considering Droll, I was mentioning that earlier. Droll is obviously a big problem in the format right now. If you watched the YCS, a lot of the decks are playing 3 Droll in the main deck, which held true for this event as well. I noticed Droll in the main deck a lot. Good thing is, this deck can play around Droll pretty decently. Obviously, you can play in the Droll depending on what you have, but when you have Prayers and Wanted, you can do a lot of cute stuff in the draw phase. There has literally been games where like a hand is like this, and you can go like Wanted, get Witch, and then you can go Prayers, Tribute, Special, Search Ame, use this, get Ritual, like all in the draw phase. Like, that's crazy that you were able to just get all that in the draw phase, and you're just so set up already. Now you can like Ritual, summon out, and then when they do Droll you, now they have to lose another card for the Droll to resolve, and it just feels way worse. Yeah, so overall, just pretty cool that you can do stuff like that. And yeah, overall, hope you guys enjoyed. Let me know what you think down below, and I will see you in the next video. Bye, guys.